Welcome, technical leaders. Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're breaking down the governance, the architecture, and the practical deployment of Microsoft Purview Insider Risk Management. We are officially moving way beyond basic compliance checklists, and we're going to look at how modern enterprise security environments actually handle the complex, deeply human elements of data protection. Okay, so let's start with a stark reality. 69%. According to a joint report from PwC and Microsoft, 69% of security practitioners have experienced over 5 malicious insider risk incidents in the past year alone. And it gets crazier. 84% experienced over 5 non-malicious incidents. We're talking accidental oversharing or well-intentioned employees just making massive data errors. This really proves that we are dealing with a systemic governance issue across the modern workforce. It's not a rare anomaly at all. It is literally happening everywhere, and our traditional perimeter defenses, they simply aren't catching it. To get our environments secured, we're going to hit 6 quick areas today. Defining insider risk, our 3 core security risks, Purview versus DLP, an AI governance architect's review, implementation quick wins, and finally, delivering business value. Starting off with Section 1, defining the insider risk. The absolute crucial point we have to understand here is that insider risk is rarely that single cinematic bad actor moment. We all tend to picture a hacker in a dark hoodie typing furiously, but the reality is just an accumulation of seemingly normal activities that compound over time into a huge security gap. Think about it. A user downloading 5 files a day is completely normal, but that same user suddenly downloading hundreds of files, meticulously stripping sensitivity labels off of every single one of them, and renaming them over the course of a week? Now that is a behavioral sequence we need to detect. Malicious intent is built over time. It doesn't happen in a single click. Moving right along to Section 2, 3 core security risks. Let's do an instant breakdown based on public reports and lessons learned across the industry. This reveals 3 primary enterprise targets. First up, data exfiltration by departing employees, basically folks taking proprietary data right before they jump ship for a competitor. Second, we have communication stressors. Think targeted harassment or extremist language on corporate channels. Those are very often direct precursors to physical or digital sabotage. And third, unauthorized access to sensitive records. A classic example is hospital employees viewing patient data via Epic or other EMR integrations just out of pure curiosity. It is a massive compliance headache for healthcare IT. And really, the human element is what makes all of this so incredibly complex. We aren't just blindly tracking files moving across a network anymore. We're now correlating HR data, like resignation dates, performance improvement plans, maybe demotions, directly with behavioral shifts. Purview can actually look back retrospectively over 30 to 90-day windows to see if a parting employee began acting suspiciously. Because let's be honest, premeditated left rarely happens on someone's last day at the office. It almost always happens 2 months prior when they know they're interviewing elsewhere. Section 3. Purview versus DLP. If you ever need a professional analogy that makes perfect sense to an IT manager or an executive, use this one. Data loss prevention, or DLP, is your transactional, physical checkpoint at the front door. It stops credit card numbers from leaving in an email based on a very rigid binary rule. But Purview Insider Risk Management, that is your intelligent surveillance system watching the entire floor. It's analyzing long-term behavioral patterns to detect the intent before that perimeter is ever breached. Simply put, DLP reacts to the action, but Purview anticipates the behavior. Section 4, the Architect's Review on AI Governance. Welcome to the Architect's Review, where we are going deep into securing what is arguably the fastest-growing shadow IT problem in the world right now, generative AI. Notice how Purview tracks AI app indicators here. It cleanly divides native Copilot experiences, which, by the way, are included at no extra charge if you have standard M365 licensing, from third-party enterprise AI apps. So if you want to monitor ChatGPT Enterprise, Claude, or other external AI tools connected via Entra ID, you need to be heavily prepared for pay-as-you-go consumption billing. Shadow IT and AI isn't just a data privacy risk anymore. It is a massive, unexpected Azure billing risk if you haven't architected your governance properly. And the depth of this integration is exactly what modern environments desperately need. We can actively monitor interactions to catch sensitive data being fed into chat prompts by the user, but crucially, we can also monitor the AI-generated responses coming back. So it stops an employee from, say, hastily pasting your proprietary source code into a prompt to debug it, but it also flags if the AI unexpectedly spits out regulated financial data or PII right back to the user. It secures the entire bidirectional conversation. Section 5, Implementation and Quick Wins. Let's shift from high-level architecture right down into practical execution with a quick win tutorial. If you are setting this up today, here is exactly where you start to establish your baseline. First, you must onboard your devices via the Defender for Endpoint agent. Second, you absolutely must deploy the Microsoft Purview browser extensions for Chrome and Firefox via Intune or your MDM. If you don't secure those non-edge browsers, you're leaving a massive blind spot where users can just open a different browser and completely bypass your controls. And third, you have to tune your global settings immediately. Look, alert fatigue kills security programs. It's honestly the #1 reason your best analysts quit. So your best quick win is tuning the noise out right out of the gate. Tell the system to ignore routine email signature attachments so a tiny embedded company logo doesn't get flagged as an image exfiltration. Isolate known false positive classifiers. For example, New Zealand social welfare numbers or Portuguese tax IDs have these formats that often trigger accidentally on random strings of benign code. Also, create custom detection groups to allow routine sharing with your sister companies. If you do this, your analysts are going to see actual, real threats instead of drowning in a sea of false positives. Finally, Section 6, delivering business value. At the end of the day, we have to ensure our technical implementation fully aligns with the privacy and compliance standards demanded by our HR and legal teams. And Microsoft guarantees privacy by design here. This means that by default, your investigations remain entirely unbiased and compliant. How? Well, during the initial triage phase, the true identity of the employee is hidden behind a pseudonym, something generic like User A. Your security analysts are forced to evaluate the actual risk of the behavior itself, completely separate from any personal feelings or biases they might have about the specific person executing it. However, as an architect, you face a really critical business decision here. If you want to enable adaptive protection, which is awesome because it dynamically integrates with Entra ID conditional access to automatically revoke a risky user's access the second they behave maliciously, you cannot use pseudonymization. Think about it. To automate that defense, the system has to know exactly who the user is to block their specific account. This is a crucial trade-off between absolute user privacy and automated real-time security defense. It's not just an IT toggle switch. It is a serious risk acceptance conversation you are going to have with your legal team. So as you look at your own roadmap and the architectural lessons we've covered today, ask yourself, are you ready to transition from a static, rigid perimeter mindset to an intelligent behavioral security posture? Because, as the data clearly shows, the most complex and expensive vulnerabilities in your network aren't external malware anymore. No, they are the daily compounding behaviors of the people you already trust. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.